Let's talk about Todo and his insane binding vow, but if you're not caught up through 261, we'll see you in the next one. So we now know exactly how Todo has Boogie Woogie back and what was under that massive bandage, and it was this insane thing, which is actually a real-life instrument known as the vibra-slap. So this is the vibraslap in all of its glory. And what's really cool about this thing is that it was actually based on an ancient instrument that used a donkey jawbone to produce music. How it would work is in this part right here would be the jawbone, and you would shake it around and all the teeth and bones would rattle around and make music. But in the modern version, we have this wooden box that has these little metal pieces inside that when vibrate, produce the music, right? And interestingly, how this works is you don't slam the ball down onto the box. All you have to do is hit the ball and the ball doesn't move and the vibrations travel through and then cause the reverberations down here. So effectively, Todo has done a couple things here. First and foremost, he replaced his injured hand with a prosthetic vibra-slap. And second of all, he changed the condition to activate his Boogie Woogie to go from his clap to the reverberations of this vibra-slap. And what's crazy about that is that the vibra-slap reverberates 50 times per second, meaning conceptually, Todo could perform Boogie Woogie 50 times per second. And here's where things get really interesting, because not only does he have Boogie Woogie back, but he has vastly improved it, both in terms of its effective range and also its effective targets. Todo can swap multiple people at the same time now. So how did he do that? Through a binding vow. So how does this binding vow work? Well, remember that with Boogie Woogie, Todo used to clap once and get one slap. Pretty simple, right? But with the vibra-slap, he now has 50 swaps per second, which means he has a whole lot to work with. So what Todo has done is made the binding vow to say, instead of clapping once for one swap, what if I clap 30 times and I get to swap 4 things at once with a far greater range? Basically, it would be akin to like old Todo with his normal clap, saying I'm going to clap 16 times in a row and then I get a really strong Boogie Woogie. But thanks to the vibra-slap, that is really easy to do and doesn't really cost him anything. And what makes this truly insane is that Todo, with his 53,000 IQ, constantly has these parameters in flux. There is no way to determine how many little vibrations he's going to use per swap, because he could use 40 for a more powerful one. He could use all 50 potentially if he wanted to. And this is why Sukuna had such a hard time nailing down exactly when this was going to happen, and why he ultimately decided to try and pick up on Yuji's intent to strike as his best guess to figure out when a swap would occur. So yeah, man, Todo is the GOAT. But there's one other really interesting thing to think about, and that comes from Gege Akutami's author comment at the end of chapter 260. He said, "What do you think about Todo still having his arm bandaged despite it being his 3rd time using his technique today?" And that is really fascinating, right? Because we saw Todo unwrap his arm, but we know, thanks to Gege, that there were 3 swaps before that, and I think I know what they were. The first being when he swapped Yuta Okotsu to take out Kinjaku, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a video on it. It's a couple back, check it out. The second swap, I think, would have been when he saved everybody from the domain expansion, and the third swap would have been putting himself where Yuji and Sukuna are when he showed up at the end there. So I'm interested to hear if you guys think there are other potential swaps and it's not the 3 I just listed, but also, what do you think Gege means here? How did he perform those Boogie Woogies with his arm bandaged? Because at least for the domain expansion swap, I would have think he needed the vibra-slap to get all of those reverberations to do the binding vow to increase the range and increase the targets, right? So what's going on there? Let me know if you guys have any thoughts.